In 30 years, the economy of the U.S. outgrew China's economy. And now, the possibility that China will overtake the United States as the world's biggest economy has declined massively. And while this is shocking, what is more surprising is that the little sunshine state, Florida, is the main reason. The question is, just how powerful is Florida, and how is it defining the world economy? Before we dive into that, do like this video and subscribe to this channel. Let's go. Imagine the world economy as a vast and bustling marketplace where states and nations alike set up their stalls to trade goods, services, and ideas. In this dynamic marketplace, Florida and China stand as two distinct players, each with its own unique strengths, challenges, and impact. Florida, the Sunshine State, as it is called, can be likened to a vibrant boutique shop nestled along the coastline. And with its diverse economy spanning industries like tourism, agriculture, technology, and aerospace, Florida's economic landscape is as colorful as its sunsets. And coupled with its fast pace and thriving innovation, its economy can only but boom with activity, attracting visitors, investors, and talent from around the globe, and essentially transforming the economy of the United States as a whole. On the other hand, China, with its vast expanse and rich history, resembles a bustling marketplace stretching as far as the eye can see. With picture-sprawling market stalls teeming with goods of every description, from textiles and electronics to machinery and produce. It sounds like the perfect economy, but again, it's more than the eyes can see. Over the years, China's many woes have crippled its economic chances. Even though China and the US are currently the most viable economies in the world, they have taken opposite directions, with the US likely to maintain its growth while China continues to face structural problems like high public debt and a low birth rate. While inflation soared immediately after the COVID-19 pandemic in the US, raising the cost of living and fueling fears of an incoming recession, the economy proved resilient to these challenges. And in the last quarter of 2023, the US grew at a 3.3% rate, surpassing expectations, with an addition of over 350,000 new jobs. Over the years, the U.S. has cemented its position as the main driver of global growth as the Chinese economy and other major economies continue to struggle. It is indeed striking that the U.S. economy has managed to remain an island of stability despite numerous headwinds and amidst a turbulent global landscape. But China, on the other hand, had a very bumpy post-pandemic recovery. This was because of a combination of factors that originated beyond the pandemic, including its aging workforce, slower internal demand, and an ongoing crisis in the real estate sector, which have been driving the country's explosive growth in the past few decades. Interestingly, an ex-IMF official highlighted 7 reasons why China's economy has been slowing in recent decades. He called these reasons the 7 Ds. The debt, in which the housing market obviously is included, demographics, with the Chinese population rapidly aging, dynamism, with which I mean that productivity isn't really firing anymore because reform in this direction hasn't happened, decoupling and de-risking, which is a constraint on China's ability to develop the new economy and technology. Directive, the government has become more controlling, and shortage of demand. And while the U.S. is said to be faring much better, Florida has been recognized as the driving block for growth. For example, in January 2024 alone, Florida's private sector job growth rate increased by 0.4%, giving an additional 37,900 jobs. Interestingly, This was double the national rate of 0.2% over the same period. Also, Florida's economic data continues to indicate economic stability and confidence among Florida's workforce as the state's labor force grew by 2.2% over the year in January 2024, which is faster than the national over-the-year rate of 0.8%, including 16,000 net new workforce participants in January 2024. Again, Florida started off the year strong by growing jobs at twice the national average, and it has continuously outperformed the national economy with fiscal stewardship, growth-friendly policies, limited government spending, and one of the lowest tax burdens per capita in the nation. In the same January, the education and health services sector gained the most jobs among all major industries, adding 9,700 jobs from the previous month, followed by a uniquely elevated month for leisure and hospitality. That is, tourism impacted professions which added 9,400 jobs. This was alongside professional and business services adding 7,500 jobs. More so, revised economic data from 2023 demonstrated that Florida's economy surpassed original estimates. Innovation has also been at its peak in the city. For instance, Florida's hospitality industry continues to rise following the implementation of the city's historic E-Verify law, ensuring that companies are employing legal citizens and still maintaining a robust hospitality industry. Interestingly, Florida didn't just begin outrunning the U.S. In fact, its statewide unemployment rate has been lower than the national rate for 39 consecutive months. By the beginning of 2024, the national unemployment rate was 3.7%, giving a 0.6 percentage point higher than Florida's rate. Florida's economic success is no doubt impressive, and it has contributed to the United States outpacing China economically. But how has Florida's unique strengths and contributions played a part in the broader economic growth of the United States? One of the major reasons is its diverse economy. Florida boasts a diverse and robust economy that encompasses multiple sectors, including tourism, agriculture, aerospace, technology, and international trade. This diversity not only fosters resilience, but also contributes to the overall economic strength of the United States. For example, Florida's tourism industry, with its world-renowned attractions and hospitality services, attracts millions of visitors annually, injecting billions of dollars into the national economy. The city's strategic location is another important factor. Situated at the crossroads of the Americas, Florida serves as a gateway for trade and commerce between North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean. This has made it a hub for international trade, logistics, and transportation, facilitating the flow of goods and services across borders. This connectivity has no doubt enhanced the competitiveness of U.S. businesses in the global marketplace and has strengthened the country's economic position relative to China. Also, Florida is home to a thriving ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship, with huge technology clusters, research institutions, and startup incubators. The state's commitment to fostering innovation and supporting small businesses has increased job creation, driven economic growth, and propels the United States forward in key industries such as biotechnology, renewable energy, and space exploration. Florida's continued investment in infrastructure projects, including transportation networks, ports, and utilities, has increased its capacity to support economic growth and attract investment. The state's modern infrastructure not only facilitates domestic commerce, but also strengthens its position as a global economic player. Moreover, public-private partnerships and initiatives aimed at improving connectivity and sustainability further contribute to Florida's economic success and, by extension, the United States. In addition, Florida's desirable climate, vibrant culture, and high quality of life make it an attractive destination for talent and investment. The city's welcoming environment and diverse communities appeal to a broad spectrum of individuals, from skilled professionals to entrepreneurs and retirees. And by attracting and retaining top talent, Florida's productivity has been heightened, and that has boosted the economic competitiveness of the United States on the world stage. Judging by the U.S. economy's strong performance in 2023, along with the challenges faced by China's economy, suggests that China's GDP overtaking the U.S. is not likely. Also, the United States gross domestic product rose 6.3% in nominal terms, compared to China's 4.6% gain in 2023. This shows that the U.S. economy is emerging from the pandemic period in a better place than China's. But in the beginning of 2023, the U.S. was widely tipped to fall into a recession as the Federal Reserve jacked up interest rates to combat an inflation scourge not seen in decades. While on the other hand, China was expected to experience a rip-roaring recovery as it reopened its economy fully to commerce after the COVID-19 lockdown. Surprisingly, this didn't play out, as the GDP data showed that the U.S. economy ended the year with a bang, growing 3.3% in real, inflation-adjusted terms in the fourth quarter after expanding 4.9% in the third. China's real estate crisis is another limiting factor. China is struggling under the weight of a years-long real estate bust and its worst streak of deflation in over 25 years. Besides, the country's exports, which were once a critical pillar of growth, declined in 2023, and unemployment among young people has soared. Worse still, the local governments are also saddled with too much debt. Interestingly, in spite of all these, the Xi Jinping government claims that the country's economy expanded by 5.2% in 2023, but there are suspicions that this isn't a true picture of what's going on. Unfortunately, with Florida's achievements are some underlying problems that can potentially pull it down, and by extension, the United States as a whole. In recent times, the state's growing population has been pushing up inflation, particularly via housing costs. And according to analysis, this began during the pandemic, when remote work gave some Americans the freedom to relocate. Interestingly, a lot of people are still coming to Florida because the economy is really strong, and many like the fact that the state doesn't have an income tax like in New York. According to estimates from the Census Bureau, Florida's population grew the most of any state from July 2021 to July 2022 because of domestic migration. During that same period, Florida also had the fastest population growth by percentage, the first time it has notched that top spot since 1957. Also, housing costs account for almost a third of the Labor Department's Consumer Price Index, and population gains heavily influenced that component. An influx of residents boosts demand in a local economy across the board for transportation, services, and housing, and that has pushed up inflation rates. Rising interest rates, limited housing stocks in cities such as Miami, and more expensive property insurance have also pushed up housing costs. In fact, both the rental and purchasing markets are seeing upward pressures on prices from all these factors. And with the shortages of available rental units, a lot of homes are still converting themselves into Airbnbs. And some homeowner associations prohibit people from renting out their homes. This has all resulted in a growing affordability issue for residents who have lived in cities such as Miami and Tampa Bay for decades or their entire lives. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Where money matters, we'll see you on the next one.